Hi everyone. It's November here in California and it's cold and it's getting dark early. We just had our first big rainstorm of the year blow through, and as cold as it's getting here, I'm getting a little concerned about the danger of cold weather and frost on the tropical bonsai. So I wanted to talk a little bit about winter protection, partly because it's a very timely matter and partly because one of my viewers suggested it. So let's talk a little bit about that. Now, winter hardy trees like this black pine here need no protection here in California. You can leave them out all year. Other trees which have some hardiness in California, such as Ficus benjamina, they're tropicals, but they do have a certain amount of cold weather tolerance. They'll be fine as long as they're within a certain proximity to the house, and here 8 to 10 feet away there's enough of a temperature gradient that we can leave them out, and we're not going to have any trouble with them. But if we put them out there in the far corners of the yard, well, I did that with this one last year and it lost all its leaves in the early spring frost, so that's why it's in here closer to the house now. Now you'll notice if we come around this way, as we get close to the house, we have some ficuses and bougainvilleas which are right up against the wall of the house. This is wonderful because they can stay here all year. They get plenty of sun in the summer, and in the winter the heat leaking out of the house keeps them nice and warm and toasty. But if we come back over here to the far side of the yard, you'll see where we have a little problem. We have a bunch of these bougainvilleas that we collected earlier this year, and these guys are going to be in some danger this far out away from the house. So what I'm going to do is load them onto a cart and move them closer. So let's get started with that. Now I use a cart for this because these guys are heavy. They're very heavy, as a matter of fact. And carrying them is just not a good idea. So we'll start out with this one here. And we'll move this one over to a more protected location. And we're just going to sit this right down over here at the base of the bench work. Watch out for the thorns. And then we'll come back over here and do some more. Okay, we've got this big guy here, which is going to be the subject of a shaping demonstration next spring, and we're going to bring him over here over the cobbles. This little patio here behind my dining room is going to be a new home to a lot of these collected bougainvilleas. The existing greenery gives a certain amount of shelter from the cold winds, which is also important, and the proximity to the house gives us a nice temperature gradient which will help protect them. So we'll go get the others. Here's another real big one, and another beautiful potential bonsai that's in danger of losing its foliage if we don't get it some shelter in this kind of weather. Okay, we put it right there next to the other one, and we'll continue with the operation. This is another of our collected bougainvilleas. Interesting twin trunk. And again, we'll shape this guy next spring, but for now, it's some shelter for the winter. So we've got to get it in close to the house here. Now, if you live in a place where the winters get really nasty and your trees need sheltering, you can do a couple of different things. You can move them from on the benches to under the benches and put thick plastic sheeting over them, or you can bring them in next to the house like I have this little one here, and then make cold frames by using an old piece of window like this one, and then filling in the sides with either wood or cloth or plastic sheeting, whatever. And this is the kind of thing that will not only allow the tree to get some light in the winter if it's something that needs it, but will also give you really good winter protection and extreme cold and really windy conditions. We don't really need that here in Southern California because the coldest it ever gets around here is maybe in the high 20s, very low 30s. But we definitely need to keep the tropicals in next to the house so that they get some heat and some warmth when it gets really cold in the middle of the night. Our bougainvilleas are now close enough to the house to be sheltered from the late night frosts we get here, and it should be good for the winter in these positions. Thank you for watching, folks.